We love horror movies from the 70s and 80s, and we watch them for 2 days straight, and then we go write a book. Now we're looking back at every title, one at a time, in this podcast that we put out monthly. Once we've had an episode for every movie, it's time to meet up for another Shock Marathon. Oh yeah, the red light is red, which means we're recording another exciting episode of the Shock Marathons podcast. Matt Farley here with Charlie Roxburgh.
Greetings.
Tom Scalzo.
Hello.
And Ava Scalzo.
Hi.
To discuss Killer Party. We got the box right there. It's just plain old Killer Party, and we're all in agreement that it's from 1986.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how the box looks so much like April Fool's Day?
Yeah.
Kind of, like with the girl's back. I mean, not so much, but the girl's back illustrated, and then it has April Fool's elements in this one, too. And it was supposed to be called April Fool's.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They were really, really driving home that April Fool's Day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And talk about
unknown horror movie, second horror movie holiday.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
Because I didn't know people did a thing like costumes.
I don't think they do. I don't think. I think only these
Only
people
this
do.
movie.
And speaking of pranks, the filmmakers play a double prank on us to start this movie. Oh,
Wasn't it like I feel like a triple prank?
I don't even know. It's like
Yeah.
Feels-
well, let's walk through this. Opening scene in a church where a funeral is happening with lots of awful attempts at comedy.
Yep.
Oh,
Very
I'm so unhappy watching this. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, is this what Killer Party is? Like, have I just forgotten that these are some of the main characters? Because they're so over the top in their performance, mostly the priest, too, like going for this comedy that just hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so overdone.
It's just these 4 people around a coffin, and then the priest walks away. He's like, that's it. And then they're like over the top, showing that they're casual and don't care about the death of whoever's in the coffin. And then they leave, but then a woman named Stephanie says, can I go back in and talk to the coffin? And the priest is like, sure. And she says, I hope you rot in hell. And then the coffin goes straight into the incinerator.
It's very more like bad comedy there, too, where it's completely unbelievable how she's getting, like, in and out of it, and hands grabbing her. And all throughout this, too, like you said, it's terrible comedy. And it's the first of many, many instances where when they cut to an actor, I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling there, that emotion. That happens throughout this movie, like, so many times.
I know. All I'm feeling is unhappy, I'll tell you that much.
And they just cut to, like, the family, and I'm like, wait, is he really sad, or is he faking being sad?
Yeah, it's just awful.
Is he fake crying, or, there's, like, so much of that.
Bad in every
And
way.
it was just, I mean, like I was like, this incinerator scene, the coffin is literally shaking. Like, I was like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I know that this is a movie and whatever, but it's just like, it was so, the whole scene is so over the top unrealistic that you're like, it makes sense that this is actually a prank start to the movie.
Right.
But like when you're coming into this cold and you have no idea that this is coming, you're very like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was so.
And one guy has headphones on. Why go out of the way to show one guy but not both guys? So you would say, oh, he has headphones on, he can't hear. His friend's right there. Insult to injury.
So now we learn that this is a movie within what we assume. We assume it's a movie within a movie at this point. In reality, it's a movie within a music video within a movie. So
unprecedented.
The music video is like one of those extended forum music videos, like Thriller or something, where there's a huge prelude before the music starts, and so that's that. Someone
said that we need an extended forum thing like Thriller. No.
Yes.
Definitely. That definitely happened.
So we are to believe that this video has made it onto MTV because once we're in the actual reality of the movie, she's watching it on TV. So MTV is playing a video that starts with that awful funeral scene, which, like, come on. Now we're in the we're in the drive-in, and some guy is being real handsy with some girl in a car, and he's like, "What do you want?" And she says, "Popcorn," and goes off to get some. She's in a deserted snack area. She just takes the popcorn because no one's there, and then she comes back to the car, and then the guy is like comes up to the window. His name is
Stosh.
Awful. Everything about it is awful.
The mixed tones here, right? She goes in and they shoot it very wide angle, and it looks like a dream sequence or dream logic where you're having a dream and all of a sudden everybody's gone. There's no other really good reason for that. But then they do the comedy where she's like, "I'll help myself to free popcorn. Customer here." You can't have it both ways. The same thing back to back.
Oh, it's so bad. And she didn't put any butter on it either.
Yep.
I don't put butter on my popcorn.
Well, we'll talk about that off mic, but we got to work on that. You're missing out on one of the joys of life, Ava. Anyway, then the music starts. And we're going to hear a little bit of April. April, why do you play the fool? Let's hear a little bit right there. It almost makes all is forgiven.
The lyrics are so great. April, why do you play the fool? April, you're no fool.
The good looks that you will not lack is in there too.
What's that?
There's a part where they say, "The good looks that you know that you will never lack." Something like that. Believe me, I was so silly though. I was playing it, and Teresa heard. She's like, "Oh, April Fools, huh?" And I wasn't paying enough attention. I was like, "Oh, now I get it. I just thought the girl's name was April."
I'd never made that connection either. Wow.
April Fool, yeah.
Tom, Ava.
Yeah. Well, this is what's so bizarre about this movie and its fixation with April Fools is the fact that the entire movie feels like it's happening in fall semester.
Yeah, I know. So much.
So you see actual leaves, like fall leaves, and you're like, I mean,
yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense.
Can't we just make it Halloween? No, it has to be April.
Like, why? They could just have a prank party. It doesn't have to be an April prank party. And as you're saying this, Ava, there's that one scene where she says to Katya or whatever her name is, the prank girl, the blonde who can do pranks, and Vivia, yeah. She's like, I'm only keeping you here so you can do a prank for April Fools, and it just felt when I heard that I was like, oh, April Fools is like 5 months away at least, It just felt like that to me. I don't know, So,
yeah, no, we had that same reaction.
Charlie.
I gotta talk about the heavy metal for one more minute.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it makes me feel when I see something like this that they knew somebody through a record company or something, just wanted to put them in there. I feel that too. It doesn't feel as good in a movie like this, which is high budget, versus when you're watching like a Doller movie and there's like the local band that it's not so glossy and it's not really a music video, but you see like the local band playing, it's kind of awesome. Here I feel like they're like, this is the new band, you should buy their album. And they all think they're super cool, wearing double mesh and double bandanas and sliding on the floor. Like, there is not a lick of, I mean, it's 80s metal, but there's not any...
No heart,
humility or heart or anything to it.
But the exact opposite of that is the song we'll hear soon, which fits the bill perfectly. Ava, what do you got?
I just want to say that it's interesting to watch this back to back with House on Sorority Row, where both featured bands.
Oh yeah.
And they're both sorority focused.
Yes.
And they're both like on the higher budget end of the spectrum. But I think, you know.
But 4 out of 5 doctors.
Take
the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's night and day. It's totally.
But like you said, they were integrated sort of into the story.
Yeah, whereas this is
really
shoehorned in there. So I mean, it really feels like the makers of the movie had nothing to do with the first 9 minutes. Literally, the movie starts with a girl watching TV, waiting for a friend to come, and then a producer was like, "This movie's a little short, and we could really highlight this band of ours if we put this in." Charlie,
these guys did a song for Halloween 5.
Oh, really? Wow.
They're on the Halloween 5 soundtrack. It's called "Dancing Before Midnight," I think.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
that's good research.
That is great research and very interesting.
Dancing at Midnight.
Dancing at Midnight.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So
that's good though.
Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. April Fools. I never picked up on that till now. That's huge. And So basically, we've wasted about 8 to 10 minutes right there before the movie actually starts. Where Jennifer's in the living room. No, Phoebe's in the living room watching TV, and her mom says, Jennifer's here. And immediately, it's a much more comfortable place to be than any of the worlds that were shown to us before. Wouldn't you say, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. And it's like you said, I forgot we went through this the first time we watched it. I'm sure. The same whirlwind of emotion. Like, what's happening? I'm so
Yeah.
Again, when Ava was like, "What is this?" Like, I don't know.
How about 6 minutes in, I paused it and checked to make sure I didn't get like the wrong Killer Party. I was like, "Oh no, I got like the Killer Party from 1991." Oh no, you know.
I haven't like mellowed with age toward it. I was reading my review and I'm like, same thing. Still hate it.
Still
like
that mad.
Beginning here, yeah, the trick.
All right, well, it redeems itself. The thing about April, why do you play the fool? Is there is something you do kind of get your arm pumping and like it does feel manufactured, but there's something about that refrain.
It's so easy though. You could have just started in the house with Phoebe watching that you're like exercising or something to this song or something. They could have still worked it in.
There you go.
Like it's not that. It doesn't have to be so disjointed.
And the thing, like, I don't understand like the need for 90 minutes. Like I'm very happy with a movie that's an hour 20. In fact, I'm happier usually. So, but let's listen to these characters interact a little bit. The three main characters are Jennifer, Phoebe, and I forgot the other one's name again.
Vivian.
Yeah.
I think
Vivia, you're right. Yeah.
Vivia.
Yeah. So, and this is gonna segue into the best song ever. That it's the antithesis of April. Why do you play the fool?
When's breakfast? No, I ain't in the dorm. Oh, come on, have a Danish. Hey, where's Vivia? Oh, I don't know. She's out in the driveway.
Phoebe, I'm suddenly not sure the sorority thing is such a hot idea.
Are you for real? Sigma Alpha Pi is the wet dream of this college.
Aren't you girls going to be late for class?
Finish, Mom. Thanks. Bye. Come on, let's go.
Hi, Viv. Don't talk to me. I'm communicating with this machine, and it demands all of my powers of concentration.
The chain broke.
I can fix it. Damn.
Here, come on. Hop on.
Now we're on our own. Heading our feet.
That is so good. Oh my God.
Picks you up off the floor. Brings a smile to your face.
It is everything that April Why Do You Play the Fool isn't. It feels so homemade. The singers just somehow just seem so disinterested in the material.
In the best way.
Yes.
Oh, it's just like, they're cool. They just don't really care, but they're gonna do it, and they're doing a good job.
Don't ask us why. Don't ask us why. But there's something for everyone. We don't know why. Ava, we've lived with this so long that we can't remember not knowing this song. What was it like for you to hear this one for the first time?
I mean, it's just one of those songs. It's like, I mean, I don't think it's as quite as memorable as Fall Break, right? But this one, it is similar in the sense of it's like the same sort of catchiness, and they use it repeatedly as a motif throughout the movie, similar to how Fall Break does. So. Like, you know, I
sets the mood.
Yeah, it sets the mood, and it's just really funny because it is a very like. I think what makes Fall Break a superior song is that it's like so high energy, whereas this is a very strange like affect. Like
they're almost like they're off key a little bit too, and it's great though.
Yeah,
like you said, Charlie, you can just picture it on stage like kind of like shuffling back and forth and not really paying attention. Great.
All right. So, I mean, a lot has happened, and we're only like 12 minutes into the movie. At this point, the podcast is 5 minutes longer than the movie.
Well, thank heavens that song's playing there, because the bike hijinks as they ride to school is a bit much. Right?
They're awful.
Yeah. It's like they've never been on, two people on a bike has never been done before. And it's like they're really hitting you over the head with campus hijinks. And we kind of get that quick tour through the campus here where you're seeing you're seeing everything of the cliche. Footballs being thrown, guys catcalling, all sorts of, by the sororities all dressed up and,
Yeah, everything is introduced. So that happens. Then, so 4 sorority girls are in a hot tub saying farewell to Mrs. Henshaw, who warns them about the abandoned house. And, like, it's kind of back to the acting style of that funeral scene where the girls are, like, so obviously mocking Mrs. Henshaw in a way that it's just uncomfortable for everyone, and at least for me, and I didn't like it. Charlie?
Yeah, I agree with you. And this happens sometimes in 80s stuff where I think you were supposed to think that the girls were cooler and just kind of go with it.
I guess
more,
so, yeah.
And maybe be on the side of like some of the frat guys and their hijinks were really, a nice person who watches it now would be like, that was too mean.
Yeah, this is awful.
I don't like that.
This behavior is awful, and I hate these people. Okay, so now a delivery guy comes with a case of champagne to the sorority. He's part of this elaborate prank. Okay, all right.
No disguise.
Okay, let's walk through this. So the prank is that they're gonna unleash a swarm of bees on the girls when they luckily happen to be, like, I guess this is their time to be in the hot tub naked. Just the guys know this every day at 4 p.m. They're
as you do.
Yeah, exactly.
In the fall.
Okay, so why the delivery guy? Like, I feel like the delivery guy, he's there to how's he get? He just knocks it off. Do we see him knock it off, or do we just see
Yes. He pockets the doorknob.
It's that easy to get a doorknob off?
No, it is not.
He literally just pulls it out. It's been clearly loose. It loosened for this particular moment in the movie, but not loosened in the reality of the world.
Yeah. So not the characters.
The definition of ham-fisted, Farley. It's terrible.
Okay, it's like so unnecessary too. Like, why? Because they wanted the journey to be a bigger distance from. They'd have to run around the house to get back in. That was the thought process.
Yeah, they'd have to go out onto the street side, and I think on the street side they had a van. They have this. He's like the delivery van.
Right.
The frat guys are all in the delivery van. One of them is filming it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because it comes back later. That scene comes back later.
Yeah, yeah. So they just wanted more time, but it's just like it's like the whole time I'm like, what is the delivery of the champagne? They put so much emphasis on it, and it's like, like there's so many other ways of handling that. But and how about the guy on the roof of the delivery van who comically falls off?
Taking stills.
It's so over the top.
A lot of the hijinks in this movie are problematic. Like they're just like, it's just like so over the top, and you're just like I think they were aiming for sort of this like comedic feel, but because it's so over the top, it's actually just not funny because you're just like, it's so unrealistic, and like you just like with comedy you need a little bit of action, like it can't be so slapstick.
Yeah, it can't be a world where absolutely anything can happen, and like in this world a guy can just fall off that's a like tall truck that he's like he's completely horizontal falling towards the hard concrete, and he's just never we never see him. I mean, he's dead.
You get a lot of feeling throughout this that the guys who wrote it and directed it were not. They were too old maybe, or they didn't have their finger on the pulse of the way things should be.
Humanity, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot that didn't make sense. I mean, like earlier when they're talking to Mrs. Hanshaw and saying goodbye to her, like that whole scene didn't make any sense. And I don't know if it was partly because I was still thinking of House on Sorority Row, where that's it's like happening at the end of this school year. And so the house mother was like saying goodbye to the house mother made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in this one, it's the start of the school year and they're saying goodbye to the house mother. No one's coming in to replace her. It's not clear why she's leaving.
Right.
I was so confused about the timing of everything. And then they're clearly doing their sorority rush thing. I didn't rush a sorority, so I don't actually know when any of this stuff happens. I think it's fall semester.
Yeah. It's not April. It's not April,
Yeah. Definitely not April.
I don't think. But yeah.
Well, it looks like fall. They're all dressed warmly, and so that's like the
fall.
other thing. Like this hot tub was steaming like crazy because it must have been so cold outside.
All that work, and then they ended up changing the title, The Killer Party.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Because the original title was April Fools.
Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
All right. I guess maybe when they thought it was called April Fool's, then they figured we don't need to explain the time of the year as much. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I guess it's just one of those things where like
it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Or they had to like keep the title and just deal with the weird time of year stuff. Like
it was some backroom negotiations going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gotta be April. I'm pulling out the money if you don't.
All right, Mrs. Henshaw goes to the scary house to talk with Alan, who's in the grave in the backyard, about how she knows the sorority girls will be in the house, and she wants to make sure it's okay inside.
So confusing. Another instance where I'm just like, what's her deal? Is she crazy? She knows they're gonna have the party. Then she says that Veronica's a sweet girl or something. And is she joking there?
There's so many questions, and it's so uneven. And we don't need to know. It seems like they want to tell us, but they're not telling us to any degree of satisfaction. That's the situation.
Yeah.
All right. Then I'm so annoyed. There's a scene. Then we get a shot where she's like on the steps or something, trying to. I don't even know what she's doing, but they show.
She says she's gonna fix up the house before the girls come in.
Yeah.
So let me like nail nail this one piece of the banister.
Right. So we see a hammer like just on the screen. So clearly like we think, oh, like someone's got a hammer to her, but then we quickly pull back to see it's she who's holding the hammer. And much like the movie within a music video within a movie, it's like you're just annoying us, filmmakers. And then seconds later, we see the actual killer holding a weapon that he bludgeons her with. It's like, why this misdirection that is immediately nullified? Why, Tom?
Yeah. They're playing us for the fool. Yeah.
And just keep in mind too, right? She is killed by someone.
Who kills her?
A physical someone. And keep that in mind later when this demonic presence does not seem to be a physical being on its own.
Yeah.
And maybe demonic presence hasn't really started to hasn't had a reason to get mad yet. The girls haven't started their party yet. There's just this respecting woman who honors the grave who's in the house right now. If anything, let the old lady, let the house mother go.
Crazy. Okay. Then, now we meet Itchy Foot Guy in the bushes.
Itchy Foot.
A classic.
Yeah, so Itchy Foot's also in Final Exam?
No, Itchy Foot is in Pieces, isn't it? Or not? I don't know. What do you mean?
There's another killer shot where you don't see the killer, but you see his legs, and he's itching his foot.
I don't know that I don't remember that happening in another movie. Tom? Yeah,
I'll get back to you guys.
Get back to us on that one. All right.
Yeah, I think it was like Video Murders or something like that.
I thought when you see the dark pants of the killer in Final Exam toward the beginning, he's itching his leg.
It's possible.
You could be right.
I'll get back to you.
Get back to us. All right. So now, for no reason, we're introduced to this character that we only see his feet, and he's itching them frequently. And I believe that pretty shortly from this point on, like within 8 minutes, it's revealed that it's that guy, that nerdy guy, and then it's never dealt with again. So, am I correct? Is that the whole Itchy Foot saga, Charlie?
Yes, and he's walking around in a slow, menacing way for no good reason. Where all the other times we see him, he's pretty hyperactive and stuff. Like we see the feet going down the hallway to outside her door, and there's no reason except to trick out the audience. So many times in this movie.
Oh, they have no respect for us. They hate us. They hate us. All right, so Itchy Foot's in the bushes. The three girls are being forced to do humiliating things by their pledge mistress, and they're gonna have to go steal T-shirts from the rival fraternity, I guess. Right? Is that right, Ava?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Billions and trillions.
Jennifer is excused. Oh, she's also. They have to say this. I prefer a big fat cucumber line. Like I guess the rule is that anytime anyone addresses them, they have to say that. That's the thing. I guess, right?
It's not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear.
It's really dumb.
Yes.
The whole thing.
So then,
it's just like the doorknob. It's all ham-fisted, just so you could have the teacher say this one line, which was quite leading.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's so written.
Don't you like to read a book in bed, Jennifer? And then she has to say the cucumber line. He excuses her, and then in more like just awful comedy. Oh, would anyone else like to be excused? And immediately the entire class leaves, except for Nerdy Martin with the itchy feet, who wants to discuss Madame Bovary. So that teacher comes back, right? He's going to be the one taking over. He's in the meeting later, taking over for Henshaw.
That's Paul Bartel, yes.
So that is him. All right.
Yeah.
He's taking over the Greek council oversight.
Yeah. Okay. So the three girls break in to steal the shirts. Itchy Foot Guy is outside. Okay. A guy in a mask frightens Jennifer. She says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm a sea monster." So, okay, so it's April Fool's week. I guess it's April Fool's weekend.
I guess. But in what universe does April Fools mean dressing up in masks?
Right.
Like that's not part of it.
In no universe. But
this is, I think, like clearly they was like, I don't know. I feel like when they originally wrote this, maybe it was Halloween, right? Because it takes place in the fall. It's all
costumes, yeah.
It's costume party. And then they decided, no, it has to be April Fools. I don't know if they had this deal with this band or what.
Yeah.
And then they sort of, I don't know if they like decide to just like redo those lines or I don't know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense. This insistence on, like, it's fall. You see the leaves, they're turning colors.
Yeah. The Halloween, because it's mostly about costumes. It's and the pranks are like terrifying pranks. They're not like funny little April Fool's thing. I guess the even though it's unconscionable, what they do with the bees and the girls in the hot tub, at least I guess qualifies as a prank. I'll give them that much. But otherwise, I mean, they're just trying to terrify people. So
right. It's like Ava said, it's like trick or treats. It's like the little kid, pretending he's drowning and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Someone needs to write an entire book on pranks in horror movies from the 1980s, And we've been suffering through so many of those. Dorm that drip blood. Remember that with the guy? Like that's his thing, pulling pranks on people. And like I don't like pranks in real life, and I like them even less in the movies because oftentimes they insert soundtrack music to make it seem even more real. You know what I mean? And then when it's over, you're like, wait, the composer of the soundtrack was in on the prank,
Or they just use movie trickery to make the prank work, which wouldn't have worked in real life.
Oh yeah, like when she's dragged across the floor
on stage where they're not hiding it versus watching it on TV where they cut. Like we will see here with the guillotine and Vivia.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's so many questions. Anyway.
Okay. We gotta come back to this guillotine and trick or treats too.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Jeez, there's so much that was just in the air in this era. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy is Blake. He's the sea monster. Okay. Through some misunderstanding, she tells him she needs to kiss another one of the frat guys, but he says, "I'll take the kiss." What's that all about? I don't understand. Why?
I think it was just a lie to explain why they were there.
Okay, to explain why they were stealing the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they showed him that they were stealing the T-shirts, but since they were like rushing a sorority, they said like maybe it's like something they had to do.
And that was a way to distract him. All right.
Quick thinking, but it's completely unbelievable how empty the frat house is. Just there would be dudes all over the place just hanging out, and you walk in and it's abandoned except for one guy.
So I thought that the T-shirts they were stealing from were from a rival sorority, but it's actually from the rival fraternity.
Yeah.
But, okay. So that makes I was so confused. Like I just didn't like it. I think in part because they obviously didn't have an enormous budget, right? So they couldn't have because normally on a college campus, like Greek culture, you have more than one fraternity or sorority. But in this movie, there's only like these two. And usually fraternities and sororities aren't rivals with each other. They're usually like you're either a rival, you have a rival sorority,
right?
But you don't usually have a rival. Like it's very weird for a sorority and a fraternity to be rival. Like usually they're just like partners, not rivals. It's like so that whole dynamic is so strange to me. And it's again, I didn't rush a sorority, so I don't know a ton about Greek culture. But this is unlike any Greek culture that I've seen in movies generally before.
It all rings false.
And some of the as I was talking about some of the cuts for the emotion that don't make sense, some of the lines just don't make sense either. After they steal the shirts, Vivia says, "I got extra large and macho man."
What?
And I was wishing you guys were there because I want to say that doesn't make sense, right? Unless it was some obscure 80s. I mean, I know who Macho Man is, but that doesn't mean a shirt. Maybe it means a tank top. but just weird.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that takes you out of the movie because you don't know what it means.
All right, leaving on the sidewalk, one of them drops a book. I guess it's Jennifer, and Itchy Foot picks it up. Now she's in her room undressing. Itchy Foot is on the stairs outside her room. And then, boom, it's revealed that Martin is Itchy Foot, like this great mystery that we think we're going to be dealing with for the whole movie is revealed. And never again do we see his Itchy Foot, or is there there's absolutely no reason why any of that was presented that way. And it just makes me mad.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that, I didn't actually look and see like what the screenwriting credits were, but I suspect that this was something that was like written and rewritten. And so things that were like in earlier versions of the script that were filmed just ended up in the movie because they really cobbled this thing together in some respects, because everything about it's like Itchy Foot, like, because even that scene, like he goes into Jennifer's room, like he pushes his way into Jennifer's room, and it seems like he's like trying to hit on her, and then like it's 2 scenes later and he and Vivia are boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah, it's so
no sense.
He is so inconsistent too, where like he's just desperate for the love of one girl, or he's just this awful person who's trying to hook up with each and every girl that he comes in contact with.
He's a mixture of shy and completely out of control.
Yeah.
Outgoing too.
It's like, Martin,
seeing
what are you
him go in
doing?
that room made me wish I were watching Final Exam. See Radish saunter over to the bed. Then you see how it's done.
Everything makes me wish I was watching Final Exam. We should note. All right, so he comes in, he returns the book, and he hints he's kind of letting on that he wants to go out with her. And he even asked her to a movie. I think she tries to let him down, sort of easy or in a direct way. It seems, right, Charlie, going on there?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I think maybe they wanted us to think, oh, it's refreshing that she's being very honest with him, and
But she comes off a little mean.
But then he also is mean back, and I just leave the scene with my head spinning, thinking, I don't like any of them, and I don't know what's going on.
The 3 girls are now at the ceremony, blindfolded. They're told to swallow goat's eyes without chewing. The other girls make goat noises as each girl swallows what may or may not be.
I could do without any of the goat stuff. It's not funny to me, the buying and.
I'm not into the goat stuff, absolutely.
No. But it's all this like weird hazing stuff, right? And it's not really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it's like, the movie is trying to pull too many themes together, right? So like with the prank stuff, and then you have the hazing stuff on top of it, and it's like, it's just too much. Like it's too much of people being kind of mean to each other, right? Like,
yeah.
Yep, exactly. It's not fun to watch.
It makes me sad about humanity, and I don't want to feel that way. It makes me sad for the
actors as I'm watching it too, not just the characters and like that stuff exists, but like, man, they're dropping those eggs on their face, and I think, they're choking, and it's gross. And
I want a horror movie that makes me happy about humanity,
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so then there's some weird firework happens in the room, and we see Jennifer become temporarily possessed, but it's very brief. Why? I don't know. Who's possessing her? Alan? Who's Alan? I don't know. Someone died there 20 years ago, I guess? I don't know. And what does this have to do with Mrs. Henshaw? Is any of this ever explained, Tom?
No.
Okay, on we go. So then the girl, they crack eggs like above the girls' mouths, and then the eggs like fall into their mouths, and then they have to spit it out later. I don't even know.
Terrible.
Okay, so then, okay, Vivia. So Vivia is a pledge. She wants this more than anything in the world, and she's decided to somehow set things up so that she can do the most elaborate prank on all of the people that she's trying to win over, right?
Yeah, it's a bold move.
Yeah, and it works. So who am I to question her plan? But so she pulls off this thing that is only possible due to special effects and cuts within the movie, right, Charlie?
Yeah, because it's not just me, guys, but we see the head in the guillotine talking. We see the mouth moving.
Right.
Under the gag. And then when we reveal that the fake head was in the guillotine, it obviously does not have the ability to be hooked up to, motors, even though she mentioned that she used motors for the table. But, the whole thing is so unbelievable that you just feel cheated. And then it makes you think, okay, well, were all the other girls, her friends upstairs, acting in on it too the whole time? Or were they just for our benefit acting scared about Vivia?
No, it was all Vivia all the time. Vivia did this. She went rogue.
So she goes upstairs and she says, I'm going down to check it out, closes the door. The door latches behind her with magic. Remember the little sliding bolt? So that's step one that makes no sense. There's other things upstairs, like when the orange juices were flying, that is not done with motors.
Well, maybe
the glasses or the eggs or whatever are flying.
There is the perfect storm in that the house is possessed, so that maybe some of those things she didn't even. She was unaware of them happening. They were just bonus, lucky moments for her. But even taking that away, what she supposedly pulled off on her own is like the greatest illusionist performance in the history of mankind, right, Ava?
Yeah, no, it's like it was so unbelievable that this one pledge would have access to all the equipment required to pull some of this stuff off. Like she's got the room shaking, she's got I was like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we're just mad, but
so we got to talk about the next morning too.
I'm sure
when she's explaining it at the breakfast table.
All right. Well, do you want to do that right now?
Well, just another instance here of how I want to show the weirdness of some of these lines. Vivia says, they said, well, where'd you get the guillotine? She's explaining how she did the motors and how she did stuff, and she says, box tops.
Now, what is that? That's a store, we're led to presume, or what?
I think some food companies in the old days would sometimes let you tear off things and add them up and send them in for a present or a prize. I think, but it's so confusing.
I mean, they still do that now.
Yeah.
You have
guillotine.
No, it's like box tops for education, right? So you send it to the school so the school can get stuff.
Box tops for guillotine.
Is that a joke? I mean, basically the way you could only take that is that's not how she got it, but she doesn't want to tell her family where she actually got it, so she's just saying this passing sarcastic kind of line.
It all just makes us, everything about this movie just makes us mad while watching it, but talking about it after the fact, delightful.
So the guillotine is something that Vivia purchased?
Well, that's what she indicates, but later on we find out that it was there, right?
Yeah. I think she means the other equipment needed, like maybe the fake head and...
No, this is specific. The second time I watched it, they say, well, where'd you get the guillotine? And she says, box tops.
Yeah, because I feel like it was very much established that there's always been one in the basement, right, Tom?
Yeah. Cannibalize the robot for all the motors.
Because Mrs. Henshaw says the inventory, they were still missing the guillotine from the inventory.
Oh, and then they talk about it at the meeting of the Greek Letter Society.
Yeah.
More about this stupid guillotine. It's missing? Where was it? They didn't look in the basement?
It was in the haunted house that's been abandoned for 20 years, but they do.
Supposed to be?
They regularly do inventory there.
Why do they need one?
I mean, yes, yeah. They're like, for the pranks.
It's not even
an
occult item. They said that the dude was into the occult.
All right. So now we're still at the party though, and I think.
Sure.
Yeah, am I right?
I don't know anymore.
Okay. Well, no, we haven't started the party. We were talking at breakfast the next day.
Okay, well, let's see where. Here I am. Vivia is in the car with Martin driving. She shows him the head of the guillotine. Okay, next morning. Yeah, she shows him the head as a prank. He sees the head and he drives off the road. Isn't that ridiculous? Oh my God! All right. Did you notice? It seemed that on the radio they were playing Best Days of Our Lives. Did you notice that?
Yes.
It felt
That's
like,
nice
at
touch.
least at the start of the scene, it was playing from the speakers of the car. So that song exists in their world. And I like that. Yeah, Jinx. Apparently, Martin and Vivia have got a thing going on between them. So they have an instant romance. Martin's over the fact that Jennifer doesn't like him. And frankly, I'm mad when Martin is hitting on other women because I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Vivia. They seem like a good match, and it just upsets me a little bit.
I just think it's one of those things again where like because you have no context for any of this, like all three of the leads sort of have this weird romantic relationship going on with three of the random characters in the movie. Like two of the other ones are Jennifer's with the Blake guy, right? The monster-esque guy, and
Phoebe.
What's the other one? Phoebe.
Phoebe's
Phoebe
with
is
the
with the like
grocery
rival lead of the fraternity.
Harrison.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like it all comes together. It all like really sort of is evident and comes together the day of the party. But there's no other real buildup of these random romantic relationships. It's just kind of like, oh, by the way, this is also happening. And it's like everything that that happens in this movie, it's ham-fisted, right? Because it's just nothing happens organically. Nothing builds. It's like they just took these story elements and they're like, oh, look, we can build a scene around this. Boom. But you had like no actual script or like this was going to lead to this. No, we didn't think that through.
Totally.
All right, now the girls discover that they've all made it into the sorority because they all have goat's eyes in a box. So that's great news. And then Vivia learns that she only made it because of her prank abilities.
Yeah, I mean there weren't that many people trying out for it. I think they had a pretty good shot, right?
They had 3.
Were they the only 3?
It seems, yeah. 3
Yeah.
pledges, they all made it. All right, now we're at.
Other. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
It was like another connection with House on Sorority Row, and it's like these 5 girls are the only girls graduating, or something, and like these are the only 3 girls pledging. You know, the universe.
Yeah.
Movies is very small.
And how about the prank in Sorority Row, like the blank bullets and how do they get the light to explode? You know, the pyrotechnics involved.
Yeah.
It's Alan.
All right. Now we're at a boring meeting where Mrs. Henshaw hands over her position to Dr. Z. Lots of real bad.
She's not there.
That's not the house mother.
Oh, that's not Mrs. Henshaw? That's someone else?
No. Someone else.
Yeah, Mrs. Henshaw's dad.
Yeah, it's some
sorry.
other lady.
Hey,
it's okay,
you
but
can't
it's like another caricature, Farley.
It doesn't matter.
They're
it's the lady who has a burst of hilarity.
Yeah.
Unrealistic burst of hilarity.
Yeah.
Let's listen to. I think I have a little bit lined up of Mr. Dr. Z talking. I think here. Let's listen.
We must forge ahead. Only that can keep his memory alive. And now your yearly film on the dangers of hazing.
Okay. So that guy is well known, Charlie?
Yeah, he's from the Corman School. He's in a lot of. He's usually playing something kind of funny, and was a director too.
I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a great person, but I can't handle it.
Yeah, I get you. I'm with you on this one.
All right. So now that this is the moment where the film has been replaced with the footage of the nude girls running away from the bees, and then like the reactions are just so weird. Like the lady who I thought was Mrs. Henshaw, she thinks it's funny. Dr. Z is outraged. Like that, it's just all these different reactions that don't make any sense, right?
Yeah. Well, then he has this whole it's like interlude where he's like trying to grab at the film reel, but then you kind of the way you see it, it's like he's grabbing at the girls' butts.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Thing. And it's just like
I can't touch the camera; it's too far away.
Yeah.
It's just so like
it's ridiculous.
It's supposed to be like this moment. It's just it's too much slapstick. Like if you're gonna, you can, like, slapstick can be funny, but it has to be grounded somewhat, right? Or like there has to be some real, like, it has to be choreographed really well. Like that's what like when you watch a Marx Brothers movie, right? There's all this like crazy slapstick that's happening, but it works because it's so well choreographed. All the dialogue is well timed. Like everything fits. It's all like, it's so well done. And in this movie, they're like trying to use slapstick, but they have no skill in putting it together. And it just every single moment falls flat.
And it seems as if they're trying to tell us that part of the plan was that the guy his shadow would seem as if he was chasing girls. You know what I mean? Like, was that a happy accident for the pranksters, or were they like, oh, and then he'll climb on the desk and either way,
he's like,
it's dumb.
I've never tried to reach for an object before. That's like.
And it's so unnecessary. Just the fact that they're running that video is enough, to establish that a prank happened. And
the thing with the slapstick is
also, why are they showing this yearly video on hazing after Rush period?
Yeah, it feels like they filmed they meant for that scene to happen earlier, but then they cut it differently. But either way, it's dumb. Charlie, did you have something else or not?
Yeah. I mean, usually it's like Abe was saying with Marx Brothers. It's usually the main characters who you know something about them do a bit of comedy, and that comedy ties back to their character. Like something's always happening to them that's funny, and you know it's going to come next, and it ties back to them. If it's just random extra falling off of like a van, that's there's nothing to it because I don't know who he is and I don't know his proclivities or something funny about it that has a next level. And here, I mean, he's trying to act like a fancy professor, I guess. That's about it. That's all I know about him. But
that's
it
a
does
good
not
point.
work.
Yeah.
All right. When Ace Ventura does something, we know what Ace does. We know his broad things. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah,
you
it's a good point.
With anybody all the time.
Yeah, you just introduce a character a moment before something big happens to him, and then you hardly see him again. All right, now the girls are at the scary house at nighttime. I guess they're preparing for the party, and they're talking about creepy things that have happened there. Let's listen to some of that.
Rather freaky. Look, there have been some people who have come into this house and never been seen again.
That is a camp story.
No, it's not. It's true. I read it in the school newspaper. I looked it up in the microfilms. There have been disappearances.
Hey, you guys. Has anyone seen a postcard from Mrs. Henshaw lately?
Phoebe, I don't think that's funny.
Oh, God. The kitchen. If this place has rats.
Wait, that's not around.
Vivia, it's not me either.
Come on.
So just a little taste of the interaction between the ladies. All right, they open the door, and Blake pops out in a lizard costume. That's his thing. He then goes downstairs to work on the fuse and asks Jennifer to bring down the flashlight, and the girls tease her. And we see there's a dead body down there. Who do we see down there? Is that the Mrs. Henshaw?
Yes, it is. And they're afraid you wouldn't know, so they do a voiceover, like they dub in some of her dialogue from earlier in the movie.
Wow.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This whole thing, everything's so unbelievable. It's continually unbelievable that this frat guy, I don't buy that he likes monster costumes, that he knows how to do electrical work in the basement. It's just one after another. And then sometimes even the girls' like interactions together is...
Yeah, it's a trifecta. Martin and Vivia are getting intimate in the car. She says she gargles with musk when he says that she tastes sensuous. She tells him that the largest room in the world is room for improvement before seductively attacking him.
Oh, it's the worst ever.
We talked about that, Tom, during Shock January. That was in your quotes, I think.
It's the quotes, yeah.
What? That's just out of nowhere. And what is being conveyed there, Tom?
I think she's trying to say that he needs to improve
his
in
techniques
terms of being a boyfriend? No, because he was looking at some other girl at that point. Right? He was being distracted by something. Like they were like making out or whatever, and then some other girl walked by. I can't remember exactly, but
the light goes on up in Jennifer's room.
Oh yeah, light goes on in Jennifer's room. So he's still like. And then he asks, "Oh, is Jennifer home?" Like he's like switched gears back to thinking about Jennifer. So then Vivia says her line about the room for improvement. Like he needs to be a better boyfriend.
Martin's just so creepy. Like I don't understand why they have this whole weird plot around him, especially because it doesn't actually go anywhere. So it's like now knowing what I know now, I'm like, oh my God, why did we suffer through all that?
Yeah, like nothing comes back with the Martin situation. He's just this annoying character they focus on his itchy feet for the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then they never reference it again. It has nothing to do with anything. Wow. Wow.
Unless what's it like that itchy feet, the idea that you have to be like people with itchy feet have to keep moving, like they need to move on. So he's always moving on to the next thing.
I
guess that's his like character trait, but that's a little too much thought to put into a movie that was clearly no thought was put into the making of this.
It's a pretty good analysis. Wow. Seriously, like I don't like it if that's what they were doing, but it actually kind of adds up a little bit in that he is always like looking for the next girl, but.
Yeah.
If that was their intention, they're awful, right, Charlie?
Yeah, it is all over. This movie simultaneously manages to feel too long and too short at the same time. Where some stuff it's happening too quickly, and I don't buy that this kid got to that from there. You know what I mean? It's just like, especially with the Martin, and all of a sudden he's driving them all three girls to school. Like,
they're like buddies.
And then he's already like way dating this girl, and
right. Yeah. All right, now Dr. Z is in the scary house. We see someone's booted feet on the steps. All right, who's that? Do we even know who that is? We see someone standing on the steps, and then he's guillotined.
Well, he says he recognizes.
So someone he recognizes cuts his head off or electrocutes him, and we never figure that out, right?
No, that's what I mean. Like we assume later that Alan, can take possession of people.
But does he also do it on his own sometimes?
Right, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess
you have to.
Alan possessed somebody off camera.
And you'd have to go back and really study it to see where Jennifer is at what point of where these killings happen, because I wonder if is it possible that they're always assuming that it's her because of that first shot where her eyes went white.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think it's all. I mean, she doesn't wear boots like that, right?
Yeah, but she could get changed real quick for some of them. I don't know.
All right, the party is happening, and let's listen to a little bit of that. Another pretty good song at the party. That's intense. That is in your face, big time.
Did you say my emotions have awakened from their sleep?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good line. And we see the guy. I think it's the guy who was the cameraman, right? In the prank. Now he's dressed as a bee. Am I right? Was he the camera guy?
Yeah, Shades of Cheerleader Camp. If I'm not.
Big time. Yeah. And
yeah.
He's just despicable, and like at some point shortly thereafter, he and his buddy are like on their hands and knees just so that they can have like be within inches of the midsections of dancing girls, and they're like, and it's played for laughs, I guess.
It's played for laughs, but it's done in the most. It's just so gross, creepy. It's like, you know, I mean, I know that there was a lot of this kind of weird party, like creepy guys macking on girls mentality in a lot of 80s movies. And it's not just in horror movies. Like, you even see it in John Hughes movies. Like, there was this really interesting article on like 16 Candles and like how like basically everyone's dreamboat, Jack Ryan, like every girl loved Jack Ryan, but he essentially passed off his girlfriend to a drunken 14-year-old and told her that was him. And then like, you know, like, so you're just like this kind of like weird misogynistic, gross sexual, you know, and I think it's like, it's harder to watch now as, especially now that like, I think some of this stuff, like awareness about sexual assault and all this stuff and consent has all changed, right? Like the way we watch these, the way we watch these things has changed. And our view and our perception of them as we've, you know, like things that I would have not really questioned before, I question now. And, you know, it's like, it's just a very weird thing. You like, you try to look at something within the culture of the time and, you know, like it's very on par for the course, I think, for what they were doing in the 80s. But like the more you watch it now, you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is like something that was just accepted.
Yeah. I would say that Killer Party is made so ineptly that it's even worse. You know, like even someone who accepted like John Hughes stuff would watch this and just be like, oh, what is this? Is just awful. So just like, you know, no subtlety whatsoever.
It's like they thought this is the way it should be. This is the way these things are.
It's someone watching. It's someone watching John Hughes, or even that scene in The Breakfast Club where he's like hiding under the table and just like being like, oh, do something like that. You know what I mean? So it's just awful. All right, Phoebe is sad in the kitchen after she's told to clean it. And then a guy arrives with the groceries. He's Harrison? But that's his last name, right?
Yeah.
That's his last name, yeah.
Okay, he's there with some groceries, and now she's happy because she's attracted to him. And he offers to help her with the food and drinks. So that's good. I'm happy for them. Now Martin is dancing with Jennifer, resting his head on her shoulder. And in my notes, I'm just, why can't he be happy with Vivia? But Ava, you've figured it out. It's because of his itchy feet. That is so awful. I'm like, do you think possibly that was like one of the justifications, Tom?
I didn't think about it at the time, but
now I'm just like, oh God, is that how they explain it away? Oh, okay, probably not. But
maybe he is the killer at one point. You know, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this movie needs to, you know, like Eyes Wide Shut, you got to watch it multiple times for decades to really know what's going on. All right, Blake steps in and to break up that dance.
Just to know, Blake steps in, right? And what's he dressed as? Not a sea monster.
What is
like
he
a
not?
hockey player.
Yeah, right. He's got all these elaborate costumes.
And he does not seem like Martin seems like a guy who's going to do costume changes. Blake does not. I don't look at Blake and think, oh, this guy just he loves the costumes, you know?
Yeah.
All right. As I mentioned before, the two guys are crawling. The B costume guys are crawling on the floor. It's awful. Blake and Jennifer go upstairs to bed together. Jennifer says, "If I do, will you love me forever?" And he says, "I'll love you as long as I can." So it's sweet.
Did you notice this? In this seemingly abandoned house, it's like the most luxurious love den.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So many candles.
I mean, that house is just like has not been touched for 20 years. It's just like dirt and dust and bugs. But yeah. I guess you could explain it away that for the party they said we need a love den, but that's a lot of work, you know. And I never saw them doing any of that work.
No.
All right. So as things start to heat up, though, they hear that Veronica is about to make a speech. It's the highlight of the party, so Jennifer insists that they go down to check it out. Now, I guess at this point we discover also that Jennifer's got to go down there because she's in on the prank that's about to happen. Right, Charlie?
Yeah, I guess so. Although it seems like for the benefit of the audience, sort of, because you don't get the sense until later that she needed to really go down there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
mixed.
She seemed essential to the prank, and yet is very casual about being there on time, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so now let's hear a little bit of the speech. It's going to be one of the sorority girls, and then she hands it over to Harrison.
Returned to this house in 20 years of wilderness in this university.
Nice for some people to show up.
Cards will be passed among you to vote for king and queen. Thank you. April Fool. But now, Harrison.
Okay, well, we're going to hear more, but, like, that was a joke? Where's the joke? The joke that they're going to be voting king and queen, that was a joke, right? That's it?
Or did she say king and queen April Fool, meaning there's a king April Fool and a queen April Fool?
That's what I thought it was.
Oh, my goodness.
How confusing is this movie? I could make a list of, like, 12 lines that completely befuddle me.
Wow.
They don't end up voting, right? So
it's either a joke, she's either joking, or they're actually going to do it and it happens off camera, or they never get to it because they're all killed. All right, let's hear a little bit more of this.
First, a toast to the old Delta Sigma House, wherever the hell that is. And to all the men of the Trident, living and dead. Whoever the hell they are.
Okay, so now the beer bottles break. And I guess we are to believe that Vivia is the brains behind this. Tom?
I
have no idea anymore.
That could have been the possessed dude getting mad about the...
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tom? Yeah.
I thought it was possessed dude getting mad at being disrespectful to the fraternity.
But after the prank, the only thing that they call out as, like, Jennifer mentions this creepy voice, and Vivia's like, what creepy voice? But at no point are they like, hey, like, how did we get who made all those doors slam and who made the bottles break, right?
Yeah.
Right, but they're busy.
They are busy.
And there is a moment, I mean, there's also a moment later on when, is it Dolly? She's the girl who Molly, the one who walks around early on asking if anyone ordered the champagne.
Yeah.
Dark-haired girl. She walks outside, and then she has a conversation about how, because that grave is right on the, like, right next to the house, like in the back alley for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's been, like, desecrated, right? There's something's knocked over.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, so, like, maybe that's what angered the Allen dude, but, like,
if
you
so,
gotta show it happen. You gotta show it happen. If it's the thing that triggers the whole unleashing of
There's, like,
evil.
no actual, like, for this to be the effect, we need to see the cause, and we never actually get to see it.
It reminds me of the music video for April Fool. They don't show you the cause of the people turning to zombies, so it's just confusing. You needed someone to, like, say a passage or open a vault they weren't supposed to open.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Riley.
No, it's good. At least it's consistent now, you know? That's good. It'd be good if when they're writing, they're like, yes, don't explain in the video or in the movie. It's brilliant. All right, so I'm just annoyed by how Jennifer's dragged across the floor, you know, in a way that, I'm sorry, Vivia did not rig this up in 24 hours. Like, again, the most amazing prank, and it's just so annoying. So, yeah, it's all a prank, or we don't know. We're sure that the evil voice is not part of the prank. That's the demon. And then it's going to be years of debate before we figure out, you know, what what the rest of it was Vivia and what was Al and the ghost. You know, I mean, I'd go so far as to say some of the beer bottles were Vivia, some of them were the ghost. But I'm not gonna rest until I figure out which.
The ghost was like, good idea. I'll follow suit, Vivia.
All right. After everyone's settled down, Blake wants Jennifer to stay over, but she wants out of the house. Another girl gets. What do you got?
Did you skip the whole fight, or did that not happen yet?
I don't know. What's the fight?
The fight between Blake and Harrison.
I don't think I've skipped it yet, but if I don't mention it in the next 5 minutes, we'll go back to it. Another girl gets her coat. The camera lingers to show the dead Dr. Z. They don't give his voice, though, this time, do they, Charlie?
I don't think so, no.
This girl is then killed by a pitchfork held by a guy in some kind of, what is that aqua costume? Is there a name for that thing?
Deep sea diving kind of suit.
Yeah, it's like a deep sea diver.
Okay, so who's wearing that?
We don't know.
Nobody knows, including the
filmmaker.
I
think at the end I kind of assumed that Jennifer, because Jennifer's been off screen for a while, so I just kind of assumed that Jennifer had, I don't know, somehow found this costume. I didn't really.
And there's no reason.
I thought into that as the filmmakers put into it.
Alan has no reason to hide Jennifer's identity. You know, when he's possessing her, right?
Right.
Now, I would have forced you to dress up as a deep sea diver.
In the most cumbersome outfit available to man.
I think like soon after this scene, someone specifically comes around and asks where Jennifer is. So I think that's where we're supposed to start thinking like, oh, she's been possessed, blah, blah, blah. But it's, again, like, it's just not done very well. It's like you can put two thoughts together, like you're like, oh, I guess this is what they were going for, but it's not.
Oh,
it's not like a clear cut thing. And the issue with having this demonic being able to possess people with no, like, it's one thing if they had established why the demon possessed Jennifer in the first place, but I think that initial possession has never really made sense or clicked. Like, there was something about her, like, because she was kind of the most resistant to these pranks, like maybe that's why it is, but like,
pretty thin.
But that's a very thin motive. Like usually it's something like, oh, they have this weird connection in their childhood. Like there's a backstory in these kind of movies where there's these kind of weird possessions. And in this movie, they don't give us the backstory.
Yeah, and they don't give us the backstory. And usually I hate backstory anyway because it's boring. But they do give us 10 minutes of a movie within a music video within a movie. Like, give us some backstory then.
Give us some context.
I'll take it.
It doesn't have to be full backstory, right? Just some context so that you're like, okay, I understand the rules of this world, right?
You show the frat 20 years ago and the incident that
you can do it in 5 minutes.
Watch Humongous.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Here's another thing. Insult to injury here for me. As far as I know, deep sea diver suit is not established, and it has no ties to like the theme or the story.
Right.
So in most movies, when the killer has a thing like Valentine, he's got like the mask of the cherub, or there's something. Maybe like if one of the other people had that costume on earlier, who did something, I don't know. It's
out of nowhere for no reason because no one else ever sees the deep sea diver killing someone else. So there's never like, oh, we can't let them know it's Jennifer. Like only we see it. So and we already know that Jennifer's been possessed. Anyway, we've seen it twice that she gets possessed. So it's not shocking to us. It's just unnecessary. All right. Blake hears Jennifer asking him to join her in the bathroom. Then we cut to Phoebe and Harrison are kissing by the guillotine, with Harrison stupidly putting himself under the
so unbelievable.
But he doesn't even die in that way either. Like, right?
Yes, he does.
He does, but later.
A little bit later, like after he's had, like, you think that he's doing this because he's going to get chopped in half, but then, like, it doesn't happen. They're interrupted by a sorority sister who wants Phoebe to stay away from Harrison. Now that sorority girl needs a hammer, the killer arrives in costume and she asks him for a hammer.
And he has this weird pocket on the side of the deep sea diving boat. Completely unbelievable.
So we are to believe that's Jennifer in there who has a hammer in the pocket of this costume. And she gives it to she pulls it out of her pocket and kills her with it, I guess, right?
Yes.
All
she
right.
kills her.
Yeah.
All right. Now go.
I feel like we missed the fight scene, right?
I think we missed the fight.
All right, let's hear the fight. Tom.
So remember when Jennifer gets dragged downstairs, right? As part of the prank.
Okay.
Then, Blake and Harrison fight over whether they should go down and save her or not.
Oh.
But that is also a prank. Remember, they're like
they pull out a gun, knife, and it's a big knife.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that is so ridiculous. I mean, just like if we're living in reality, it's like someone at the party might have like shot one of them to, you know what I mean, or like intervened in some way. But
they would have called the cops earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So Harrison and Blake are in on the prank with Vivia and Jennifer, I guess.
No, I think they're doing their own version of a prank because they're supposed to bring pranks to this party.
Okay, so after they've witnessed Jennifer get taken away, and they don't even know that it's a prank yet, right?
Correct.
They jump into their own prank.
Yes.
Apparently.
Improv prank which would have required premeditated things with props.
And there's knives in the prank, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Very elaborate.
I don't know why I didn't write that down, but yeah, that was awful. Just more awfulness.
More awfulness. It just keeps insulting us.
They're just waiting for the moment to happen, and they just gave each other the nod, like we're on.
Oh God!
Very specific circumstances to unfold.
It's like the filmmakers knew, like, Matt Farley will hate this because we are every prank we could think of, and pranks on top of pranks on top of pranks.
We're gonna get.
And they're not voting on who does the best prank. They're not like getting the other people.
Yeah.
You're just generally making it an unfun party and tormenting people.
Yeah.
It's just like, prank over.
Oh.
That's it. There wasn't a cup awarded for who got the best prank or.
Yeah.
All right,
go. I feel like this is a fallacy in many horror movies that like this, where these pranks are supposed to be funny, but they're always like there's like this lethal element. Well, but like. Death is not actually that funny. Like most people will just be scared. So like it's very bizarre because they're like trying to play this off for humor, but it's these like terrible situations. So like it just never quite. I think this is one of the reasons why these pranks always fall so flat is that you're like, well, this isn't actually something funny. Like it's different if it's like a prank where like, you walk through a door and water falls on your head. Like, okay, I mean, like that's annoying, but it could also be like someone's reaction to that might be funny, or you know, like like you can see where there might be some physical humor related to that, but like seeing someone get stabbed, most people would be terrified and upset and like traumatized,
or getting chased by bees. I mean that's like dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just to, I already mentioned this, but the fact that the filmmakers are like conspiring with the characters to make the prank seem even more believable to the audience bothers me too, because it just
it's a cheat.
It's a cheat. Yeah. All right. Now we're downstairs where Harrison I guess gets his head cut off by the deep sea diver, who I guess is Jennifer. Now, Martin drunkenly announces that he can't find his pretty girls before trying to throw himself at another one. Hey, he's got itchy feet. The guys in the bee suits are playing cards and giggling. One of them gets a drill in the behind from a vent in the floor, which I had trouble buying that was a deadly drill attack, you know?
Yep.
Like a situation where all he has to do is stand up. Like,
and what a weak slasher move. Like the killer is below an event. Aha, I see them.
Yeah.
Drill on. Like it's the least dramatic, killing, slashing.
Right, and you have you have about a half an inch of drill that gets over the floor, you know?
Yes,
and this kills this guy. I mean,
and you've shown no fear of just going up to all the other people and killing them. Why do you have to drill this guy in the butt through the vent and they're giggling, and the way they're acting there is completely unbelievable too. And the way that the party's breaking up is completely unbelievable, and the way that people aren't seeing anyone else around them is unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the fact that those two are playing cards, it's like I thought it was a full-fledged evacuation going on, you know?
Yeah, they would see everyone else running away, and then the people who were still there kind of moving would see them getting killed by the drill.
Vivia finds a head in the fridge and then falls over two dead guys in the bee costume. Like, okay, the other guy got killed too. He was just like watching his friend be killed by a drill, and he just waited. He's like, all right, whenever you're ready. Yep. So then Vivia goes up to get Phoebe. They run into the bathroom where Blake is dead in the tub. Then they go out to find Jennifer. She comes up to them and says that everyone is dead. Our three heroes go to the front door, but Jennifer is possessed by the spirit that says, April Fools, a-holes. That was like the tagline moment, I guess, when that was the name of the movie. The spirit has been waiting 20 years for this. The house starts breaking apart as Jennifer makes devil noises, and the spirit comes in. The spirit seems to be coming in and out of Jennifer. Is it, or is it playing games with the people, and do we care?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Early in the possession, she's able to kind of fight it off, and then later in the possession, the demon is pretending.
Well, that is an interesting decision to make, you know? That It's going to be that many variations of Jennifer's consciousness, you know? All right.
Yeah.
The two
it's
girls...
like a whole other movie now. I remember this
Yeah.
from the first time, right? Don't you guys feel that? Like, okay, we got these pranks and stuff, and like all of a sudden, okay, we're into like De Palma's Fury, or I don't know, something where there's like a little bit of Exorcist and also set pieces exploding.
Right.
Like that's not in an 80s campus slasher movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The two girls try to escape. Jennifer keeps coming at them. They climb out of a window, and then suddenly Jennifer somehow is outside the window waiting for them. Okay, or is it a different character, or is it just the worst body double ever? Did you guys notice that, Tom?
I think it's still her.
It's supposed to be Jennifer, but at the point where she grabs one of the girls and lifts her up, it is so clearly not Jennifer. I was confused.
This whole movie, they were very bad at disguising the stunt doubles. Like in the scene with early on, that bike scene with the double, where they're doing the double bike.
Oh yeah.
You could so clearly tell that those were the stunt doubles, and they had they just put the wig on in front of the one girl's face, so you couldn't see her face most of the time. And I was like, oh my god, I don't know a ton about movie making, but even I can see that this is a stunt double.
All right, so then one of the girls falls all the way down and hurts herself. Is that Vivia?
Yep.
Okay.
She's just chucked off like a 3-story roof.
And then Phoebe ends up on the ground too. I don't even know how that happened. Charlie?
You know what? Vivia's costume here, were you guys getting it's shades of the little girl in Halloween dressed up as the jester or whatever she wears, that costume.
Yeah, good point,
yeah.
Just as Phoebe is about to finish Jennifer, she switches to her Jennifer voice to convince her not to do it, like Charlie mentioned. But next time this happened, fool me once, shame on you. But Phoebe's not going to fall for it twice. And she sticks a stake through her heart. But now Phoebe is possessed, and she turns on Vivia. The police arrive and take Phoebe away. Then they put Vivia on a stretcher and into an ambulance where Phoebe is, which means, oh no, Vivia's going to get it. And then, yes.
Can can I call it like a mixed metaphor? I know this isn't right, but it's like a sin, like mixed metaphors, I guess. To stab your monster in the way that you kill another monster. Stake through the heart for a vampire. It just adds this other element of, well, couldn't they have just done something else to the demon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what a shocking twisty ending, or whatever you want to call it. And what better way, as they're going off in the ambulance, to just cap it off. What are you going to do after all this horror and terror? What are you going to do? Let's hear what they do. Oh, yeah.
We've been waiting for this day to come along for so long. We have finally found a place where we belong. We can't go wrong. Now we're
I sometimes add my own hand claps.
Yeah. Well,
when I'm listening to it. Do you guys attempt to do that too?
It's so great.
Sounds especially good over Skype, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh, I had a hard time falling asleep last night. I was like, I could sing Best Times of Our Lives in my head again. Might as well.
It is such a good song. It is so good. Oh my goodness, it's such a good song. I mean,
say these are the best times of our life. These are the best times. Then you're like, I could just say it again.
Yeah.
And you do that a lot.
It is such a good song. Ava, I'm gonna say it. I like it better than Fall Out Break. I really do.
Me too. Well, I think I just like the peppiness of Fall Out Break a little bit more.
And I like the fact that the girls are the antithesis of peppiness in this song, where they just seem so like resigned. They're held captive by this maniac.
Yes.
And all he does to torture them is make them sing these pop songs, and they're like, okay, fine, go Charlie.
They don't list the singers of that, like who the girls are for this song in the credits.
Well,
is it the actresses? I was just wondering. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna figure it out. I have a reason to live now. I gotta
find it out.
Because
imagine if you went to like a repertory or like a special screening of this. So like we have the director here, and we've got the girls of Best Times of Our Lives, and then they started to sing in person that song before the movie.
Let's work on that. In the short term, though, let's review the movie. Why don't we start with Tom Scalzo?
I feel like I in my mind that song kind of like took center stage on my memory. So I was like, "Hey, but you're gonna love this movie. It's so great." And like, she doesn't even like the song as much as she should. So it's only going to go downhill from there.
Oh, that's tough.
But I just I think we've said all the things. It's not as fun as it should be. But I wish it was just something. If it was going to be this demonic possession movie, just do that and be consistent. Right at the end, it frustrates me that it went to all this trouble saying it was Jennifer. It was Jennifer. It's like, okay, well, now it's Phoebe. So theoretically, it could be anyone at any time, and there's no rule.
It doesn't matter. It's
that
vague.
Just bugs me.
It's vague and inconsistent. Yeah. To a fault.
So I mean, that's what bugs me. Like there's some fun moments, and like the feel is kind of cool. I kind of like the setup, like when they're riding the bike through the campus. Even though that's a cheesy scene, I like the environment of that and like the fall feel of it. But it just never does, like it's one way or the other, it never does enough fun hijink type stuff to get you in the mood. It never really goes in far enough in any direction to really get you into it.
Ava, your thoughts on Killer Party?
Well, I think in part it suffers a little bit in my estimation from following House on Sorority Row, which surprisingly I did not like, but I like now more than I did before watching Killer Party. I just, like comparing the two where they're both like sorority movies, sororities where things go wrong, pranks go wrong, parties gone wrong. And I just feel like at least the other movie had a consistent, like, mythology story behind the killer. Like, you know, as whatever, as crazy as that was, at least, you know, like you went, once you put it together who the killer was, once the slashing started, like it was just pretty consistent, you know, like it was, you could follow the they had a through line, right?
Yeah.
But with this, you don't really have a through line. Like you have Mrs. Hanshaw die like way early on in the movie. You don't know who kills her. No. It's not believable that it would have been Jennifer at that moment in time because I don't think she'd even been possessed yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's all these like weird things that just like don't make, you know, like as you're watching, you know, and it's when you're watching a movie, right? You're not really always, you're sort of trying to take things as they come. But with this movie, it was very hard because it felt like the story kept shifting into something else, which is why I was saying earlier, you know, like I just really believe that this was something that went through a lot of rewrites, a lot of like hands in the pot, just trying to make something that put something together. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that some of those scenes aired out of the original order where they were supposed to air in like whatever original script there was.
Yeah.
And, you know, like trying to make something at, you know, they filmed it. So I guess they had to make something, put something together. I just am not sure it was entirely successful. And I wish like, if it had been this demonic plot, which I actually don't actually hate the idea of this demonic possession, but I feel like it would have been more interesting then to establish like more about this story and why he would possess and like why her, you know, like I think that would have been more interesting than some of the stuff that we do get, or like the fake music video with the fake movie in it. Yeah. You know, like there's just such a waste of time, and I really dislike that sort of misdirection because I think I said that before in House on Sorority Row and with that original start, where I'm like, you know, that those opening moments where I'm expecting one thing and I'm presented with another. And I'm like, wait, but this doesn't match what I thought I was supposed to be watching. And I really dislike to be disoriented that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Be consistent. We just want consistency. Charlie, your review.
Yeah, it's like if you go to eat a certain food and it's been added so much coloring to it that it tastes different than what you thought it was going to be, or it's mislabeled. Yeah, you don't like that. Yeah, it's poor plot. I don't really like the characters. The dialogue is really bad. That's one of the worst things about it, actually. That's the thing I kept nitpicking because that's not I mean, dialogue is hard, but I could understand there not having the story all worked out, but just it's not as fun and it's just confusing, the jokes among the people. It should have been a no-brainer. Get 3, you know, fun girls, have them doing their thing. I would have preferred the girls to be more anti the sorority and a little bit more pro themselves and like maybe coming to the realization that this isn't what we want after so much bad stuff. So that's one thing. It lacks the levity of Final Exam. It lacks, like, when I watch Final Exam, I just feel so much happier. It's like maybe less polish in the cinematography and just more happiness coming out of the characters, and people aren't like hating each other. This one, it's not that many years later, but it feels much more late 80s.
Yeah.
Where I'm starting to feel, there's a lot of like, you know, the girls who are cast in there are actually models. Versus when you watch Final Exam, you're like, okay, they just found like some, you know, local girls who would be in the movie. Yeah. There's not such gratuitous nudity. Everyone feels kind of charming. So it's tipped over that edge of it feels like someone's trying to make a buck. And the people who wrote it, maybe the guy who directed it, didn't really get youth culture, nor did they get slashers or horror movies.
Or
it was
care.
Just a way to make, or humanity, whatever. It's the way Trick or Treats is to me. Where I think this person does not really like horror movies or like this. They just, you know, Graver just thought, let me piece this together. I could get this distributed and call in some favors and get a few names.
Right. Yeah.
I know Richard from Doom Movie-thon likes Trick or Treats, but refer to our earlier podcast.
Trick or Treats, with the only other movie that has a guillotine in it randomly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of connections. Yeah. So, I don't hate it though. I don't completely despise it. I mean, I hate the itchy feet so much, but it does stand out at least. You know, it's like something that after the fact you can talk about and be angry at, but you know, it's like at least I feel something. You know.
Well, I solved the metaphor for you, Farley.
Oh, let's hear it.
Now you know why he has itchy feet.
Oh, okay. I thought you had even more to tell me, but yes.
No.
Yeah. I thought you were like figuring out your whole thesis in the last couple minutes. No, you're absolutely right, and then what an analysis. I love that. But yeah. So you know, I mean, I've definitely been wanting movies to end more than I wanted this one to end. You know, I mean, this is faint praise, but it's not so awful that I'm, you know, just like having trouble staying awake. Like
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that this movie does better than House on Sorority Row did is like that the climax of the movie is actually it all happens boom boom boom.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then
they don't drag it out,
right? Like you know, because the problem with like the House on Sorority Row was like you had that extended hallucination scene, and it's like totally killed the pacing.
Yeah.
But this movie, in terms of its pacing, this movie is actually better than House on Sorority Row.
It's unpretentious. I'll give a Killer Party that.
Yeah.
No pretense. And part of the reason that the pacing is better is that like 10 minutes in, it just starts over. You know, so like. It's really an 80-minute movie where you just watched a music video at the start, you know?
Exactly.
So,
this is true.
So that actually works as a plus. That awful trick that they played on us makes it that like we get to the end faster. It feels so. So that's good. Shock memories. All I remember were the itchy feet and the best days of our lives. And it really, like Tom said, it really gave me a false understanding of the quality of this movie. Tom?
Yeah. I mean, the song, it's good though, because the song is the last thing you take from it. So once again, you know, our brains will be convinced that we like it better than we do, because you'll be singing that song for the next couple of weeks.
Oh, it's so good. Any other shock memories, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It was the song and, you know, a little bit of the girls together. And I remember the demonic powers that stuck out as just being out of place. But the fact that she could destroy the stairway in the house with, like, her forces. I remember that from when we watched it. But all in all, I still have the same feelings. It's like it should have been a home run. It could have been a lot more fun. It just has this nastiness kind of about it and bad dialogue.
Let's listen to a little bit more, just to cleanse the palate, a little bit more of the best song ever.
This is our new home. We're finally letting go. And we know these are the best times of our lives.
No clapping, no clapping.
Sorry. It's like adding my own touch to a classic.
Don't ask us why, but there's something for everyone.
So good.
I changed my mind about the movie a little bit just now. You know, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Ava, is the song growing on you a little bit?
No.
Okay. All right. Hang in there. And you'll wake up one day and you just be like, oh.
I'll wake up one day and feel so differently about the best years of our lives.
Yeah.
We gotta make
of our lives. What is it?
We gotta make a CD of all these songs. We can, listen to it as we go on and stuff.
Yeah, it's so good. It is so good. Imagine a mixtape with
Road Trip, man. Fall Break and this.
Fall Break. What's the song by 4 out of 5 Doctors that we just had last month?
Modern Man.
Oh, Modern Man.
And what about Animals Are Clumsy too? I always enjoy that one.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. We got to secure the rights to all these songs. That would be a great, a great undertaking to, Wow. All right. Well, I guess we've covered it. And so for Ava and Tom and Charlie, this is Farley saying see you next month where we'll dissect another great horror movie.